Hey everyone, it's Coach D. I wanted to share some food for thought on a barrier that I don't think people are aware of, that it's even a barrier to their health, to their progress, their health practices, that kind of thing. And it's really been prominent in the last few weeks, but it's been prominent my whole career. But as I become more passionate and dive deeper into the mindset and how and why people approach things the way they do, it just becomes more evident to me. And I would love to stop it in its tracks for at least a few people watching this to give them the aha moment and go, wait a second, if I can change this approach, maybe other things will fall into place more easily. And the approach is taking time for yourself. And what I mean is I've recently been, I've given clients some exercises to do. And when I say exercises, it's homework in terms of sheets and thinking about yourself and writing things down. And when they come back, the response is, well, I didn't write anything, but it's up here. Here's the problem with that. One, there's so much noise. There's so much stuff in our daily lives now that we don't take enough time for ourselves in any way, shape, or form, let alone be able to retain some thoughts we had a day ago or even a few hours ago. The second problem with this, which is the major one, is we're feeding into the practice of putting ourselves aside. We're feeding into the habit of not making ourselves a priority. And when you sit back and think about it for a second while I'm talking to you, think about this. If we can't take 5 or 10 minutes to answer questions or write ideas, to brainstorm plans or goals or things that we enjoy, any of that stuff, if we can't take 5 or 10 minutes even to think about that and actively write it out, then we shouldn't wonder why we can't implement other habits in terms of health practices into our daily lives, because we're feeding into the opposite practice of what we want, right? If we can start to put our energy rather than into what exercises you should do, what things you should force yourself to eat that you don't care to, all this kind of stuff. If you could take that energy and put it into how you take time for yourself, how you sit and actively think about what works for me, what do I want, what do I enjoy, then maybe you'll start to see some change happen that is created in a much less stressful way, and you'll start to see progress. But until we start to recognize that this is a barrier, that we don't take even 5 or 10 minutes for ourselves, we're going to have a really hard time hitting our goals, and we're just going to constantly be on this vicious cycle of feeling like a failure. Um, it's the foundational things that we do that set us up for success or not. And this is one of those things. And it doesn't need to be in huge chunks of time either. We can, I've actually suggested to some of these clients, if we take something that I've given to think about, and if you just take 5 minutes, you can set a timer if you want. You take 5 minutes, you work at it, and then you go back to whatever you're doing. You've just taken 5 more minutes that day for yourself. Then you come back to it the next day. You do another 5 minutes. So over a 2-week period or a week, you've done it, and you've taken that time to think about yourself. You have your ideas on paper. They can't go anywhere. When they're up here, there's a lot of different places those ideas can get lost. So I'm challenging you to open your mind to that barrier and to that mindset. And if you'd like to discuss it, I would love to discuss it with people, because this is what I love to do now. I love to chat about how we approach things and how we think about our health, and to begin to knock down some of those barriers so that we can see progress, we can feel good about ourselves inside and out, and we can create healthy, sustainable practices for the long haul.